All right, let's continue. I'm going to continue with what we worked on last time. And the code is in this mmap folder here. So that's a starting point. And we generated this using Express generator. And so it gave us this bin folder in here. So we have the startup code in there. I don't usually do it like this, but in this app, it's what I'm doing. And this is interesting code. We can look at it. The way of handling errors is interesting, and we could refine some of the code that we wrote already using examples from there. So I'm considering that. And we got the entry point of the app, or the starting point is app.js, the file. We got these two routers that we load. These are our routers. And just to split the functionality up a bit so the files don't get too big. And that's it. So this is setting up. Now, app is the instance of Express that we're using. So you call things on app. Like here, we're going to set up the view engine or the templating engine, it's usually called. And then here we're registering middleware. Here's the middleware to do to serve this call, line 23, that's the middleware we're configuring to serve the static content for that public folder. You'll see right there, there's the public folder right there. And so on. And anything that follows this pattern will go to the index router. If it follows this pattern, it goes to the user's router. I kind of don't like the order in which these appear. It looks like this has checked first before this, but actually this path is more specific. So I think in that Express sort of makes that correction for us. Even though we registered these routers in this order, in fact, this router here, this middleware here is processed first when a message comes in, because the path is more specific than the path used to register the index router. But when I write it like this, it suggests sort of a mistake, but it's handled by Express. Just make that a little bigger. So in fact, maybe I don't like this, so maybe I'll go into mmap here. Yeah, just to clean that up. What was it down here? Maybe. So I don't know. Just put it like that. Maybe that makes more sense. I don't know. Doesn't really matter that much, but it's just if we think about it, it's good to be clear about what's going on. All right, so let's review where we're at. Let's run the app and see what it's doing now. It's this one. And so we have login and register. And I think let's see, registration, we got login is working. I know that. This is working. That's fine. And then we log out. And then we register. And we have, I think we got this working, didn't we? So BBB. And the password is, so we created a new user and we logged them in at the same time. So, and in fact, we can check that. And it's, we'll select star from users, and there it is. There's the BBB. We just got it. So we got that inserting now. It's good. I'll go into the roots folder, and I'll open up this index. So there's a bunch of stuff we still need to do here. And let's see. This is where we have registration. This is where we serve the form itself, so that looks pretty good. This is where we process the form submission. We pull out the submitted email, user ID, and password, and then we call the function to create a user. Now, if the email already exists, the user ID already exists, or maybe the password doesn't adhere to requirements, and then we want to do a rejection. So let's think about how we would do a reject. Well, I mean, we could pass an error object, say a custom error object that we could test for, and then consider that a rejection. We could do it like that. Let me think about that. So we could do, this is the error. So it would be new. Let me think about this. So it's an error. What's the best way to do that? So, I mean, if we use so we want to do a test like this. So if the, what is it? If maybe the email is invalid or the user ID is invalid, what are we going to say? So if it's, how are we going to pass that information? I'm just going to go like this. We'll do it like this. I'm going to send in the result like this. I'm going to make it easy myself. And if there's an error, that means there's something that's unexpected. And we'll just throw that and crash the system for now. But if the result is false, so we'll do it like this. This is say the success. So if it's not a success, then we got a problem, and then we want to do a rejection. And so we can do something similar to that login. Where is it here? When we log in, see, what we do is we set a message here, right? We'll do something like that. So we come back to here. Let's do the same thing. We're going to set a message. And we're going to say, we're going to render the register page. And the title is register. And the message will be, let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. I'll call it the fail message. If there's a fail message, I like this better. If there's a fail message, then we'll just we'll pass that on. I'm going to do it. I'll start by doing it like that. There it is. And now, so when we throw, we're exiting from the function. Here, when we render, we're not exiting from the function, so we're going to continue to do this. See, so we don't want that. So we need to return. That's a common mistake when writing HTTP request handlers. All right, so let's suppose it's not a fail message. I'm going to do it like this. Let's do else, then we have to worry about returning. And yeah, we can get rid of the return if we put an else here. Let's do it like that. There we go. I think a lot of people like to read it like that normally. All right, so if it's a fail, otherwise they get logged in, they got created, and they're in. So let's do this. So that means when we call this create user, we're going to have to call the function with this argument here. Let's look at that. So that's on the database. So I think I got to go up a level there. And so create user. And here we go. So we do this insert into users. And I think what we can do here, so we'll do it like this. So if if nothing gets inserted, then we got a problem. So then oh look, we're passing null. It's the second argument to the callback. That's good. That's what we want. Not null, I'm sorry. That would be, I'm going to say something like that. Well, do we want to tell the user that the user ID is already chosen? You know, that sort of thing, right? So we're going to find out. Let's think about it. So it's either the email already exists, or the user ID is already chosen. So we got to, probably we should check for those things. And so here we tried to insert them in there, but it fails. So let's do this. Let's take, hold on there. This is, let's create user. Oh, and also when we connect here, we're not calling done. Oh, we call done right there, right? Yeah, we call done right there. So this, we want to make sure we call done before we leave the code, because we have to release the database connection that we got out of the pool. Otherwise, we're going to consume all the connections and not release any of them. So it's a type of leak. All right, so here we're calling done here because we don't need the connection anymore. But if we fail to submit, if we don't get something in, then maybe we don't want to call done yet. We could do something like this. We could call done in here. Get rid of this one. I'm going to just type that out a little. It's too much all in one shot there. And let me do else if, so I don't need the return. And so if it's an error, then we're done, and let's call back with the error. Otherwise, if the insert failed, then we got to find out the reason why. Either it's the username is chosen already, or else the email is chosen already. So let's do that. Let's do this. Look at this. This is get password. When I get the password for this user, right? Actually, I just want to get the user. I want to get the user. This is create user. I want to get user. And what are we storing in the user? So we got the email, and we'll have things like preferences or other things that are stored with the user. So let me do. Maybe I'm going to implement a get user, because I could do it like this. Watch. So I want to know if the email is bad or the user is bad. So I'm going to do so I could do db.get user like this, and now we pass in the user ID, and then we have a callback function, and the callback function will take error and the GetUser object. And this does the job right there. What is this? This is not right. That's right. Okay, that's good. So we're going to call GetUser, and you know, I'm taking the done out of there again because I don't need it. The way we're doing it, we can keep done out here. Because when we call GetUser, I'm going to get a connection from the database pool. Rather than reusing the existing connection, I'm going to release the connection here. And then we get another connection when we do GetUser. I think that's acceptable. All right. So here inside GetUser, we gotta, you know, do the error, right? If error, then CV error. And what do I do actually in the calling code? I want to see what happens when I get an error. I say just throw it here, right? That means I don't need to throw here. I just call it like this. And then that's it. Else, what are we going to do? If we get the user, then if the user is null, F, remember that if the user is null, that means we didn't find the user. And if we didn't find a user, then we want to call the callback with null for the error parameter, and for the what's it called, the result parameter or the fail message parameter, I'm going to say username already taken. Like that. There we go. Okay. Otherwise, we can assume that it was the email, but I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do it like this. Let's do it like this. Else, let's assume it's the email, and then we can do a check on the email later. So email already taken. All right, so we got to implement this GetUser. So once GetUser runs, so this is the case when we get nothing in the result. So then everything is handled in there. So we don't need to handle it here. And then, so if this is not true, then we're going to have an else here. So this is the third case. The first case is we got a database error. Second case here is that the insert failed, so we had to do some extra checking. And then we can check to see if it's the username or the email that made it fail. And once that's done, so if otherwise the result said that the insert succeeded. So if the insert succeeded, all we have to do is call the callback. There's nothing else we need to do. There it is. Now we got to implement that GetUser. So we can do that by copying getPassword. I'll do that. Let's make a copy on that. I'm going to do GetUser. Takes the user ID and a callback function. Here we do the connection. And if there's an error, pass the error back. Otherwise, we're going to select. We're going to select. I forget the password. I'm going to select the email from users, where user ID equals 1, and here's the user ID, and here's the callback function, and we get a result. We release the connection by calling done. Check for an error. If it's an error, then we got a problem. I'm gonna restructure this so make it more consistent with the rest of the code. I'm gonna put in the if-else's because it'll be more consistent with what we've done so far. We won't have to return here if we do that. So here, if the result set is here, so if we get nothing here, because we didn't find a user, so we just, for the result, what is it, we return null here. So this first position is for like database errors, things that we can't handle. But this position, this is to pass the user object. So if we don't have a user object, we're going to pass null. All right, so otherwise, there's no error, so null goes here. And then we're going to send the user object. So we're going to do something like this. It'll be, the user object basically doesn't have much in it. Well, I guess we could do it like this. Let's do it like this. It'll have a user ID and say an email. We'll leave the password out. Leave the password out. I guess just make it a little easier to read there. So I'm going to do let email equal this. You know what? I'm going to change this around. I changed my mind there. I'm just going to return the whole row 0. Because it'll have email in it, but it'll also have password and user ID as well. But we'll need to do star here. Select star from users. So we'll get all the fields and just oh, this is not right. This email. So basically, we do this. No, that's easier, isn't it? We just return that first row of the result set, and that's it. That'll be the user object, I think. Well, I remember, actually, this is not that clean of a solution, to tell you the truth. And maybe I shouldn't do it like that. Maybe I should go back to where I had it. I had trouble with this before because, well, let's do it and then we'll look at it and I'll show you. It was a couple of years ago. I remember doing this, and this result set, it's not clean. So it'll have a field for email, but it has some other kind of field in there which the database driver inserted that's related to the email, but it's not the email, something like that. So it's messy, and what I was doing in the past, I cleaned it up a bit rather than just using the result set, a row from the result set. Instead of doing that, I would clean it up a bit. But let's see. Let's just start by doing it like this. And so this code, now what the code we've added is code that keeps us from, you know, trying to enter the same system. Actually, is this still running? Yeah. But that's the old code. This is the old code. And so we're running the old code. And if we register, watch this. I'm going to register A. So A already exists, so this should crash. See that? That should crash. See, there's the expression. Duplicate key value. See that? So that's the problem that we have just solved, actually. So I just save everything. So we're going to run it again. And looks like DB line 61. And there's something going on here. Else if that, then call db dot get user. Oh, db doesn't even exist, does it? db is not defined because db is this, right? So this exports. So we're doing exports dot get user. So it should be maybe exports dot get user. Let's do it like that. So this is what was it? Line 61. Is that it? Yeah. So this will be exports. So this get user function is attached to exports. The exports on. That's defined. Exports.getUser, what does this say? Unexpected token right there. All right. So this is exports.getUser. Why would that be unexpected getUser? Oh, I see. This is the user ID. And I forgot to put a comma there. Got it. All right, we got it running. I'll go back to the home. And, you know, I'm going to reset things a bit. I mean, it's not clean. So I'm going to do, I'm going to run the create database. Where is that? Oh, I want to show everyone a trick here. This is, I was playing with this last night. I'm going to make this a little easier to run. So remember, to run that script, we had to do this. We had to do PSQL map, and then this is how we did it. I had to use this line here, see? And, but we could actually put that line sort of in here, so it'll be, oh my gosh, I can't remember now how to do it. And it was in, what the heck, what are we doing again? Oh yeah, that's right. Here it is. Oh, we just do this, and then we pipe it in here. Oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty slick. So we do echo here. That's how I did it. Okay. So we're going to run this echo command. Now, this is a shell script, so we're going to echo this. Is that how I did it? I think I'll just leave that unindented. There we go. Just put a blank line in there. So we're going to echo this and then pipe it into this, and this is map. I think on Windows you have to give the -H, or maybe it's Linux. You have to, use -H. Tell it to look at the local host to connect to the server. I don't know whether you need that or not. I know that I don't need it, but I'm going to leave it in there because it's okay. Actually, this -D is also unnecessary. I just do this. I got to change the chmod, make it executable. Oops. See if it runs. Yeah, that's working now. See that? So we can remove the older version, so it takes more to remember there. There we go. So we got that, and once again we've got now we don't have to remember this command here when we issue this SQL into that command. So we just put everything in a shell script. That's done. And let's do the testing now. And here we are. I'm going to reload, set my cookie. Register. This should fail with a message. Ooh, I didn't check the view to see if I'm taking a message. Let me go into the views and look at that. Do we take a message in here? There it is. P equals MSG, so the message is good. Hopefully this is going to work. Fingers are crossed. It did not work. It crashed. Duplicate key value violates unique constraint. Ah. All right. Oh, okay, so where is this happening? This is in, I see, I don't have a full, let me see here. What does this say? A complete log of this run can be found here. So, try that. So, I don't usually look at this. So, let me see, what is this? Info at work, if it is open, I'm going to get this, isn't helping me. So, the problem is, what the heck is the problem again? The problem is that the key constraint is violated. So here, when we create the user, when we try to insert, this is where we get the errors right there. So this thing is failing because the key constraint has failed. So how can I detect that particular exception? And although we don't want exceptions to run like this, let's see. I mean, what we could do is we could test to see if we could try to get the user to make sure that the user is not already defined. That's our problem. But I've been thinking of the scenario. So first, we check to see if the user is already defined. If it's already defined, then we just cleanly report that situation, and we don't have an exception to deal with. But there's a scenario you can think of. There's a race condition there because maybe we check to see, is the user existing? No. Okay, then it's okay to create the user, right? What happens if two users are on at the same time and they're both picking the same username? See, and so one says, I try to create the user. I said, does the user exist? And the system says, no, the user doesn't exist. So you should think, well, okay, I can create the user. But maybe your thread pauses. And another thread runs. And actually, that one, yeah, that thread pauses. Another thread is running. And it's another person trying to pick the same username. Okay? And they try to get the user. And they don't get the user either. So both people trying to pick the same username, both get back the message, you're okay. All right. There won't be an exception if I try to create the user. Then they both try to create the user at the same time. Do you see the race condition? One of them is going to get an exception, the other one won't. So I don't want to just simply try to get the user, to see if he exists or not, because I still have to handle the problem where there's that race condition. So what we could do is let's just catch the exception all the time. As simple as that. But, picking an existing username is common, right? People pick existing usernames all the time. That means if you've got a popular application and it's servicing a lot of users, that means as part of your normal function, you're going to be generating and catching exceptions. And that's a bad idea in general because exceptions are very expensive. Well, I don't know about JavaScript. Running on the server side, it's probably expensive. So you want to, as a general, I know with game programming, as a general rule, if you're using exceptions as part of your normal game loop to have logic that acts on exceptions that get generated frequently, it's going to slow the whole game up. It just will not run. So you basically have to, in C++, when coding in C++, you must, in the game development, you must avoid exceptions as a regular sort of logic to use as your normal logic in running the game. You still have exceptions, but they should be rare. And so here's a case where if we rely on exceptions, then these exceptions won't be so rare. And so that means, so anyway, do you see the details, all the questions? And we could refine this, and we could try to achieve a level of sort of perfection and efficiency and stability, which rivals Amazon, right, or Gmail or something. But we can't do that. So we're just going to do one little bit at a time here, and we won't have a perfect solution. We're just going to do what we can. So let's think about it. What are we going to do? I want to know what type of exception gets generated. Let's think about that again. Wait. Let me take a look at that. Okay, so I'm going to look at the exception that gets generated here. And we throw the error. Here's a duplicate key value violates unique constraint. So in fact, we could do a little easier. In fact, here, let's do this. Let's print the exception here. Oh, can we kill that code like this? Let me think. I don't know if I can call exit there. Can I call exit there? How do I exit from a node program? I just want to shut it down. process exit. Do I need to import process? I think I do. Let's see if that works. All right, we want to see what the exception looks like. It looks like this. There's an error field. So there's the exception right there. So that's the beginning of the object. Here's the end of the object. The first attribute it shows, the first property it shows is error. And it looks like a string here with a long list of stuff. Oh, here's name is error, length, severity, code. Oh, detail. Key already exists. So we could look for this particular code. Key already exists. User ID equals A already exists. So the user ID already exists. So let's see. So this is some kind of a unique check. You know, I think I'm going to do it. I changed my mind. When we create the user, I'm going to check to see. I'm going to do it one step at a time. First, I'll check to see if the user already exists. Let's do it like this. There we go. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Is that the best way to do it? Let me think about it. So I want to create the user. So all right, so we check to see, so we're going to create the user, right? So we're going to call it, first we're going to see if the user already exists. We call it GetUser. And if there's a database error, then we throw that. But actually, this is what we have to check for, right? So if error, let's do it like this. If error, oh, it's just GetUser. There won't be any error here. We're just trying to get the user. If we're trying to get the user, if there's an error, then we're going to report the error. And we can't go any further, so we've got to return here. And if the user comes up null, we're good, right? So that's good. Oh, I see. If the user comes up not null, then we want to say username is already taken. And then what else? Otherwise, the user is null. That means we're good to go. So we just call this null, and we can, that's it. That's all we need to do, right? So, oh, we don't call anything. We just, we don't return. That's what we do. So we do this. So first we got to get the user. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. And so we return null. This is getting pretty messy. So otherwise we're good. And so then we want to continue on. So we basically have to put this code in here. We got to check for the email. Want to wait on that? I'll do that. Well, it's going to get messy. All right, let's do it anyway. Here we get the user. Oh, we could do it right inside here. If the user is not null, then we say that the username is already taken. And then if it's not null, it's already taken. Oh yeah, then we gotta check for the password. Oh my god, we gotta do a password check. I'm gonna do that later. I'll do that later. All right, so we check to see if the user exists. The user doesn't exist, so then we're going to connect to the database again, and this is the, and then we have this, we have our code. So we're going to connect to the database. If there's an error, we got an error, we got to get out, return that, and then otherwise we're going to execute this insert command, and there it is. We do a query, it needs a callback. Call done to release the connection. And if there was an error, then it's a problem. And we report the error. Else, if nothing got inserted, then oh, this is our other code. Let's suppose nothing got inserted. Well, something went wrong. I don't know what, right? How come we got 0 length when we did the insert? The insert failed. Like that. And otherwise, we don't need to check the user. We already did that. So here we're good to go. So that means things were good. So we just call the callback with null to report no errors. That's it. All right, so let's go back and check that. It's getting messy. That's the problem with the JavaScript is you get a lot of anonymous functions. You get nesting of anonymous functions. That's the big problem with JavaScript, actually. So here we have the, I guess you can use something called promises to flatten this out a bit, to get rid of all those indentations. So that is one way to do it. All right, so we create the user. We define this user function. We want to know if the user already exists. We call GetUser. If there's an error, of course, we're done. We gotta get out. And otherwise, I better use this form. Get rid of the return. Otherwise, we check to see if the user is not null. If the user is not null, then the username's already taken. And so we have to report that failure. So this is our failure message. Otherwise, the user doesn't exist yet, so we're good. So we're going to get a database connection. And if we get an error doing that, then, so be it. Then we got to get out. And let's do it like, and I'll use I better use well, that would add another link. Let me keep it like this. Otherwise, we're going to do the insert. So we issue the query command here and release the connection. Check for errors, and then check for nothing and some unknown error that we don't understand. Otherwise, let the calling code know that everything went well by passing null for the error. Like, you can just call it like this. That would work too. I think that would be undefined though. It wouldn't come up as null. So in case we're checking specifically for null, we'll do that. And that's that. And so this else doesn't exist. That's all we're going to do. So these are the cases at this level. And inside here, we have, oh yeah, this is not right. This has to be, make this a call. This is not right, so something's wrong with the matching parentheses here. So it's, look at this. This guy here should match down there. All right, that's good. Let me check in here. That's good. That's good, and that's good. So that's good. This one here matches over there. That's good. That's a match. And that one is good. No, that one is not good. That is not good. It should be here. That's it. That's where it matches. And that should not match up there. What is going on? So this should be this one. Why is it matching on there? This is, oh yeah, that's right. This should match this, and that should match. Oh, it's down here's the problem. That matches that, and this matches. Why is that matching up there? I think the VI has got a bug in it. I mean, this is, oh, son of a gun. Forgot the parentheses. There we go. That took a while. Okay. All right. Everything looks good. That one matches there. That matches there. This matches there, and that one should match up. There's an error there. So why that matches up there nicely, but this should match to here, but it's not. Why is that not getting called? How come that doesn't get called? This one seems to work. Oh, that's the wrong one there, isn't it? I'm getting totally lost here. So that matches that, and this matches that, so that's good. That one's good. How come I'm not getting a match on this one here? And I get to this too soon. I see. So maybe this is not right. That matches that. There we go. Holy cow! I can't believe it took me this long. All right. I think that's it. Phew. Username already taken. We did it. AA. Username already taken. Username already taken. All right, so there's a mistake there. So we're always returning this. Okay, so when we do GetUser, then the user's coming in not null, right? And when the user comes in not null, it says username is already taken. That means GetUser is not implemented correctly. So GetUser is up here. So we don't find the user. What do we return? So if there's an error, then we return that, of course. And then otherwise we do this select. And then if there's an error there, then we call the callback with the error. Otherwise, check for the length here. If the length is 0, which it will be, we're passing in null as this second element. I think this is what we should be. We should be here. So console.log, it should be here. Let's see, we should be here. So at some point we are, we did not find. I see. This is 0. This means we didn't find a user. And this is where we should be. So we should be calling CB like this. Otherwise, we call CB with, oh, yeah, maybe the problem is this thing. All right, so let's see if that works. Oops. That was dumb. Yeah, let's see that. We'll get the form. And let's see. The test is, I want to submit the, I shouldn't find the user, right? I shouldn't find the user. Oh, I was changing the email to AA. Son of a gun. There was no error. I just didn't. This is AA on the username. This is so I got an X issue there. Throw error. Insert failed and create user. All right. So that's in line 49 throws that error. So insert failed and create user. Let's take a look. So insert failed and create user. That's the error. We don't need that. So let's see what we got to do down here. It's down there. Look at that. So I tried to create that AA character, didn't I? So here it just came up. We tried to do the insert, right, with AA. I'm going to do that test again. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm going to clear this. And let's recreate the database. So get back to the normal state. And then go to run this thing again. And so if we do PSQL map, and we're going to select a star from users. Okay, there's no AA, right? So I'm going to try to have user named AA here, and the email make it AA too. Password AA. right? That's not in the database. We see it in there. Does that get inserted in there or not? All right, so I'm going to rerun that. And it does. It gets in there. So the insert succeeds. So that means it must be a logic error in my code. So this succeeds. This insert succeeds, but the result set comes up 0. And I don't know why that is. But just take it out. I want to make the error go away. How's that? I'm going to do that. Else null. So either there's an error that we know, or it went through like that. Okay, that's going to do it. That'll do it right there. Oops, let me reset the database. Reset the database. And now we're going to put AA in there. And that should just succeed. And we're logged in as AA. We're good. We log out. We want to log in. We should be able to log in as AA. And that's good. We're in as AA. Log out. We're going to register. I want to register as AA. Username already taken. So it's working better. You know, it doesn't handle all the error scenarios that, you know, a really mature big company app would handle. So that's something that we would have to do over time, you know, gradually as we make the thing more bulletproof. All right, I'm going to put in a snapshot. Let's do that. So it's git dot commit. I can't believe we're over time. Man. All right, so there you go. We got that. Committed, and that's that. That's it for today.